Hey everyone, welcome. We're going to get started in just a minute. Let's give people time to get connected. Okay, let's jump in. Hi, I'm Dave Parks. I'm a director of product marketing here at BillingPlatform, and this is episode 2 of Built to Bill. Before we get started, if you're just joining us, feel free to drop your name and where you're tuning in from in the chat. I always like to know who's in the room. Quick housekeeping. We're going to run about 30 minutes today. There will be a live Q&A at the end, so if questions come up as we go, just drop them in the chat and I'll get to as many as I can. Anything we don't have time for, we'll follow up with you by email. Also, if the slides look off or the audio sounds weird, just say something in the chat and we'll sort it out. All right, let's go. So here's what we're covering today. 4 sections, about 30 minutes total. We're going to start with the access problem. If you were here for episode 1, you've heard me tease this. The billing stack can handle incredible complexity. The bottleneck isn't the stack. It's the layer between the stack and the people who need it. Then we're going to talk about what changes when AI can actually drive that stack. Not just analyze exported data, but read and write the live system through natural language. Then we're going to do a live demo. 3 scenarios, each one a task that used to take days. You'll see what it looks like when you can just ask. And then we'll wrap up with what this actually unlocks by team and what to do if you want to get started. Okay, let's go back for a second. If you caught episode 1, you know we spent a lot of time on the infrastructure underneath usage-based pricing. The 5-layer stack: event capture, mediation, rating engine, amendment handling, audit trail. If you missed it, don't worry. The recording is linked in the chat, and you don't need it to follow today. But here's the 1-sentence version. Usage-based pricing is hard because of the infrastructure underneath it. Most companies aren't failing at the strategy. They're failing at the execution layer. So today's question is, okay, the stack works. Now what? Because here's what we kept hearing after episode 1. People would say, yeah, we know the stack is there, but getting to it, getting answers out of it, making changes to it, explaining it to an auditor, that's still slow. That's what changes today. So here's the actual problem, and I want to sit on this for a minute. On the left side, you've got everything the billing stack can do. Answer any billing question in milliseconds. Apply complex pricing logic to any event. Process mid-month amendments in seconds. Reconstruct any charge with a full audit trail. Handle millions of events without manual work. That's what we built in episode 1. On the right side, you've got what actually happens when someone needs something from it. They file a ticket. They wait 48 hours. They schedule a call with finance to verify. They repeat that whole process for every single exception. And half the time, the invoice goes out before they even have an answer. Now, here's what I want you to think about. That 48-hour wait isn't just slow. Every one of those waiting periods is a moment where someone couldn't do their job. A customer called in with a billing question and the answer was, Let me get back to you. A sales rep was on a live call trying to quote usage pricing and had to send a follow-up instead of closing on the spot. An auditor asked for documentation, and it took a week to reconstruct. Documentation the system had the whole time. And these aren't rare edge cases. If you have a complex pricing model, usage tiers, overages, amendments, mid-cycle changes, this is Tuesday. This is every week. The bottleneck isn't the billing system. It's the interface between the billing system and the people who need it. And here's what that actually costs beyond the obvious efficiency hit. Every time you want to change something about how you charge customers, add a tier, adjust a threshold, run a promotion, handle an exception, the process to get that done runs through the same bottleneck. It's slow. It's ticket dependent. There are technical resources in the critical path. That's not just an operational problem. That's a pricing agility problem. And pricing agility, it turns out, is a competitive advantage. And it's not just one team hitting this wall. It's everybody who touches billing. And they're each hitting a slightly different version of the same problem. Let me make a few of these a little more concrete. Let's start with RevOps. A customer called in. They're confused about their bill. It went up, and they want to know why. How many of those calls do you get in a day? Someone on the RevOps team is now the person responsible for figuring that out. The answer is in the billing system. It's in the event logs, the rating history, the usage records. But getting to it means filing a ticket, waiting for someone who actually knows the system to dig in, maybe scheduling a call to walk through what they found. That's a 48-hour minimum turnaround on a question the system could answer in milliseconds. The customer is still waiting. Finance is a different flavor. An auditor walks in and asks why line 7 of last quarter's invoice looks different from what the general ledger shows. Finance knows the answer exists. The system has a complete audit trail. But getting it out in a format the auditor can actually work with takes days. Meanwhile, the auditor's on a deadline, the close is at risk, and your finance team is spending a week on a data reconstruction exercise instead of doing finance. Now sales. A rep is on a call, talking to a customer who wants to know what they'd pay if their API usage went up significantly. Maybe they're planning a big launch, trying to understand what their costs look like at scale. The rep doesn't have that number. They can't query the billing system in real time. So they guess, or they say, "Let me follow up." And that follow-up is the moment the conversation loses momentum. Product wants to launch a new pricing tier this sprint. They write up the requirements, hand it to engineering, it goes into a queue, gets configured, staged, tested, deployed. That's days to weeks depending on how full the queue is, for a pricing change. And auditors, they want to verify that charges match actual usage data, and they get a static CSV export, a snapshot, not the live system. Same wall for every role. The information isn't missing, and the capability isn't missing. The stack has all of it. It's the access that's broken. So let's take those exact same scenarios and look at what actually changes. That RevOps question, why did this invoice look different? In the old world, that's a ticket to engineering, a 48-hour wait, maybe a call with finance to walk through what they found. With BillingPlatform AI, you just ask. It queries across all 5 layers and comes back with a plain English answer in about 30 seconds. Same question, completely different experience. The new pricing tier, first 10,000 calls free, then 7 cents a call, $500 monthly cap. In the old world, that's an engineering sprint. Ticket, staging environment, deploy, days, sometimes weeks, just to get rating logic configured. With BillingPlatform AI, you describe the pricing model in a sentence, and it configures it, live. You'll see this in the demo. And the auditor scenario, Instead of pulling a static CSV and spending days cleaning it up so it's actually readable, you ask the Copilot and it reconstructs the audit trail on demand from the live system. Same story across all three. The stack could always do this. What's different now is how you get to it. Now, I want to take a minute on something before we get into the product, because I think it's actually the most important thing I'm going to say today. When most companies bolt AI onto a billing system, here's what's actually happening under the hood. The AI is reading an export, a snapshot, CSV files, data dumps, maybe a read-only database replica. And that's fine. You can answer some questions that way. But the moment anything changes in the live system, a mid-month amendment, a configuration update, a new event that just came in, the export is stale. And you don't know it's stale. BillingPlatform AI works differently. It's not reading an export. It's connected to the live system at runtime. When you ask a question, it's querying your actual billing data, the same data the system is using right now to rate events and generate invoices. When it stages a pricing configuration, it's writing to the real system through a permissioned API, not a sandbox. Here's the other thing. Most AI billing tools require some form of training or onboarding to understand your specific setup, your custom objects, your custom fields, your pricing logic. That takes time, and it goes stale every time your configuration changes. What we built uses self-describing metadata. When the Copilot connects to your billing platform instance, it reads the system's own metadata at runtime. What objects exist, what fields they have, what relationships tie them together. It understands your specific configuration on day one without any training. And when your configuration changes, the next conversation already knows about it. That's why what you're about to see in the demo works the way it does. The Copilot isn't working from a cached picture of your data. It's reading the actual system. This is BillingPlatform Copilot, the conversational interface of BillingPlatform AI. Three things I want to call out here. First, it's connected directly to the billing stack. This is not a chatbot sitting on top of a data export. The Copilot reads and writes your actual billing system through a secure MCP connection, so answers are always live, never stale. Second, it's powered by Claude via Model Context Protocol. MCP is the standard that lets AI models communicate with software systems. BillingPlatform built the server. Claude drives it. The result is that your billing infrastructure becomes conversational. And third, this is the thing to watch for in the demo. Natural language in, billing system actions out. Ask a question, get an answer. Describe a pricing change, it gets configured. Request an audit, it gets pulled. No menus, no tickets, no waiting. So here's what you're about to see. 3 scenarios in BillingPlatform Copilot. Each one a task that used to take days. Act 1, a RevOps question. Why did customer A's bill go up 40%? You'll see the Copilot query all 5 billing layers and surface a plain English answer in seconds. Act 2, we're launching a new API product. First 10,000 calls free, then 7 cents a call, $500 monthly cap. 1 sentence. The Copilot configures it live. Act 3. Customer B upgraded mid-month. Process the amendment and generate the corrected invoice. Same scenario from episode 1, done through conversation instead of 5 screens. All right, Let's get into it.
All right, thanks, Dave. Let's get into the tool here. Okay, you're looking at a live connection to a billing platform instance. Everything you see is querying and writing to the actual system. There are 3 scenarios to walk through. Each one would normally mean opening a ticket, waiting, and going back and forth with someone who knows the system. You can handle all 3 just by having a conversation. First scenario, a RevOps question. A customer calls in. Their bill went up 40% last month, and nobody knows why. Normally, that means a ticket, someone digging through event logs, maybe finance gets pulled in. The whole thing takes a day or 2. Instead, you just ask the copilot in plain English. It's not summarizing a static report. It's querying across the billing layers and pulling from live data. It found that Acme Corp added 5 new users mid-cycle, which drove more platform usage and triggered an overage. Here it breaks that down. The $400 increase came entirely from new user activity. That's the overage charge. You can go deeper without leaving the conversation. Ask it to break things down by product line. You get a full breakdown, and it generates a visual too. The main charges are the platform fee and the API calls, which are part of that usage charge. Clean breakdown right there. So going from someone's confused about their bill to here's exactly what happened and why takes about 30 seconds. Now let's look at the second scenario, a pricing configuration. The product team is launching a new API product and needs usage limits set up. Users get 10,000 calls free. After that, it's 7 cents per call with a $500 cap. Normally, you'd open an engineering ticket. Write up what you need, it goes into a sprint, someone configures it, stages it, tests it, deploys it, and you get it back. That can take days or even a couple of weeks, depending on the backlog. Watch what happens when you just describe what you want. The AI understands the structure of products and pricing in the system, so it figures out how to build the tiers, the rate logic, and the cap. Then it asks you to review. It doesn't just create it right away. It stages the setup for you to check first. You can see exactly what it's proposing. Product setup, bulk settings, tiered pricing, and the cap. Everything looks right. So you approve it. The AI does the configuration, you review, and approve. That's the model. Now it's created and it shows you a summary. Refresh your org, and it's there. API calls premium with the tiers you set, from description to live config in under a minute. No engineering ticket, no sprint, no staging, no waiting. Done. Okay, now the third situation is an amendment scenario. You'll run into this a lot with usage-based pricing or subscriptions. Say a customer upgrades their plan mid-month. You need to process the amendment, handle proration, and generate a corrected invoice. In episode 1, you saw how that meant doing it all manually, looking up the account, changing the plan, calculating proration, making adjustments, confirming everything, clicking through a bunch of screens, really needing to know the system to get it right. Now you just use natural language. Here's Cobalt Analytics. They're on the Silver plan at $50 a month. The July invoice shows that $50 charge for Silver. They want to upgrade to Gold starting today, so you just say, effective today, please end the Silver plan and add the Gold plan to Cobalt Analytics. The system understands the request, figures out what needs to change, and stages it for review. Now it's ready for you to look over. You can see the end date for Silver and the new Gold plan starting today. Now, let's approve it. The system makes the changes, and since it's mid-month, it handles the invoice adjustments automatically. The plan goes through, and you get a recap. Refresh the account, and you'll see the products have updated. Silver has an end date of today. Gold starts today. You'll also see the proration on the July invoice. Click in to confirm everything looks right. Both Gold and Silver rates are there, prorated from today, and every step has a full audit trail. So if someone asks 3 months from now, what happened with this July invoice? The answer is right there. Every action reconstructed on demand, all through natural language. That's it. Back to you, Dave.
All right, so you just saw 3 scenarios that in a traditional setup would have taken hours to days, done in plain English through a single conversation. Let me talk about what that actually means for each team on this slide. RevOps first, and this is the most immediate one. You just saw the Copilot answer a billing question in about 30 seconds that would normally generate a ticket and a 2-day wait. But the change isn't just speed, it's autonomy. RevOps doesn't have to route that question through engineering or finance anymore. They can ask it themselves, get a complete answer from the live system, and respond to the customer directly. That changes who owns the answer, and that matters. Finance. You saw the audit trail get reconstructed on demand in Act 3. That's the change for finance. Instead of spending days pulling records together before an auditor meeting, you answer in the conversation. Auditors ask questions, you answer in real time with live data behind every number. That changes how your team shows up in audit situations, and it changes the close process. Sales. We didn't demo this one directly, but it's the same capability. A rep on a live call can ask, what would this customer pay at twice their current usage? And get an accurate answer from the live system while the customer is still on the phone. Not a follow-up email, not a guess, an answer. That's the difference between closing on the call and losing the momentum. Product. Act 2 is the one that changes the most here. You watched a complete pricing configuration get staged from a single sentence. First 10,000 calls free, 7 cents per call, $500 monthly cap. Done. No sprint, no engineering ticket, no staging environment queue. The gap between we want to try this pricing model and this pricing model is live just collapsed from weeks to hours. And when you can iterate on pricing that fast, something else changes too. You make better pricing decisions. You test more, you learn faster, you respond to a competitive move by end of week instead of end of quarter. The billing stack was always capable of all of this. What changed is that you can actually get to it. 3 things worth doing after this session. First, connect BillingPlatform AI. The MCP server is available now. If you are a BillingPlatform customer, reach out to your CSM to get started. Second, come back for episode 3. We're going live August 25th at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's a Monday. No, sorry, it's Tuesday. And we're going deep on the governance layer. We'll talk about controls, checks before anything posts, permission-bound actions, the full compliance story. Because I know some of you are thinking, this looks great, but what stops it from doing something wrong? That's exactly what episode 3 is about. Registration link is in the chat right now, or visit billingplatform.com. Third, talk to us. If any of these points resonated and you want to see how BillingPlatform handles your specific pricing model, request a demo. That link is in the chat too. All right, that's the content. Let's do some Q&A. I can see we've gotten a number of questions. Let me pull these up. Okay, so let's see. Jason's asking, what's powering BillingPlatform AI under the hood? Is it always the same model, or can that change? Good question. BillingPlatform AI is currently powered by Claude, which is the model running the intelligence underneath the Copilot interface you saw today. But the MCP architecture is model agnostic. You can connect any MCP-compatible AI model. So if your organization has a preferred model or a data residency requirement that points you elsewhere, the architecture supports that. What you're interacting with is always BillingPlatform AI. What's running underneath is configurable. Okay, Sarah's asking a really important one. When the Copilot configures something, is it actually writing to our live system, or is it staging it for approval? Both, and it's configurable. What you saw in the demo is the default behavior. It stages the change and waits for approval before anything is saved. You can set up approval workflows so that different types of changes require different levels of sign-off. The AI proposes, your team approves. Nothing goes live without a human decision. We're going to go much deeper on this in episode 3. Let me grab this one from Marcus. How does it handle permissions? Can the Copilot do things our users aren't supposed to be able to do? No, and this is really important. The Copilot operates within each user's existing permission set in BillingPlatform. It can't take an action in the system that user couldn't take manually. So if a user doesn't have write access to rating rules, the Copilot can't modify rating rules when that user is asking. The permissions are enforced at the system level, not just the interface level. Again, episode 3 is going to cover all of this. Okay, Kevin's asking, when we use the Copilot, is our billing data being sent to Anthropic? Does it leave our environment? Really important question, especially for enterprise customers. The short answer is no. Your billing data isn't being stored or trained on by Anthropic. The way MCP works is that the AI queries your system through the MCP server at runtime. It's asking your system questions and getting answers back. Your data stays in your BillingPlatform environment. What goes to Claude is the query and the structured response, not a copy of your data sitting somewhere externally. If you have specific data residency or compliance requirements, that's absolutely a conversation to have with your account team. But the architecture is designed so your data doesn't leave your environment. Let me grab this one from Diane. Is BillingPlatform AI included in our existing contract, or is it a separate add-on? It's available to BillingPlatform customers. For specifics on what it looks like for your instance and your contract, best thing to do is reach out to your account team or request a demo through the link in the chat. They can walk you through the details for your situation specifically. Okay, what does the implementation look like? How long does it take to connect this to an existing instance? Coming in from a few people, actually. Shorter than you'd think. The MCP server connects to your existing BillingPlatform instance. There's no separate data model to build, no schema to train. It reads the live metadata at runtime. Most teams are up and running within a day. The setup guide is in the chat right now. Okay, this one's from Priya. Does the Copilot understand our custom objects and custom fields, or does it only know the out-of-the-box BP configuration? Custom objects, custom fields, custom entities, yes. Because it's reading the live metadata at runtime, not a static representation of the schema. So whatever you've built on top of the standard data model, the Copilot knows about it on day one. That's actually one of the core architectural advantages here. The self-describing metadata means the AI understands your specific configuration without ever being explicitly trained on it. Last one, quick one. Does this work with multi-currency? Yes. The Copilot has full access to the system configuration, including currency settings, FX handling, all of it. Not limited to US dollar scenarios. Okay, I can see we have more questions coming in, and we are at time. I don't want to keep everyone past the hour. If we didn't get to your question today, we will follow up by email, so don't worry, nothing gets lost. Before I let everyone go, I want to take 30 seconds on what BillingPlatform is for anyone who's newer to us. What you saw today is possible because of how the underlying platform is built. BillingPlatform handles the full revenue lifecycle: event capture, mediation, rating, amendments, invoicing, collections, revenue recognition, audit. It's designed for companies with complex pricing, usage-based, subscription, hybrid, multi-currency, whatever the model is. The 5 layers we talked about in episode 1 aren't a metaphor. That's the actual architecture. The reason the AI can do what you saw, querying live data, staging configuration changes, reconstructing audit trails on demand, is because the platform underneath it is built to handle that complexity natively. You can't bolt this kind of capability onto a billing system that wasn't designed for it. The foundation matters. If your pricing model is getting more complex, or you're moving toward usage-based and you're not sure your current system can keep up, that's exactly the conversation we want to have. Link to request a demo is in the chat. All right, really appreciate everyone being here today. We will see you August 25th for episode 3. Thanks, everyone.